Hey guys, welcome back to another commentary from a national champion. So we got the much anticipated match, Nicky Ryan's brother versus the Australian Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan versus Josh Saunders over here. Josh Saunders took this fight on 15 days' notice, I believe, and he's done well. He's won ADCC trials twice in Oceania. A lot of people put him down because that's kind of like the easiest place to win trials. It's not necessarily inaccurate, but it's still an achievement because, it's jiu-jitsu, right? And you still need to, you still need to try. And the only way that jiu-jitsu gets better in Oceania is if he wins and then goes overseas and trains and all the rest of it and then brings it back. So well done to Josh Saunders for winning. He got invited to fight against Gordon Ryan, and then this was their Who's Number One match. Gordon's been out since, I think, October last year, so this is a bit of a comeback for him, and it should be a relatively good match. So Gordon's 28 now, 28 going on 50, it looks like. To me, you can't really see it because I'm in the way. And Josh Saunders over here is obviously 27. Now, I believe that Josh has been training for only 4 years. He used to play rugby. He's a big dude. He's 1 or 2 inches taller than me, and he weighs, 20 pounds more than I do. Sorry, there's a motorcycle going on in the background. And he's good at wrestling, and I believe he's been doing jiu-jitsu itself for only 4 years. So he's brought himself from beginning to, competing against the literal pinnacle of the sport inside 4 years. So it's pretty impressive, and all the rest of it. So we got the match start, and you can see already the size difference. Like, look how fucking big Josh is versus Gordon Ryan. Gordon Ryan's about as big as I am, 6'2". So you can see the difference. It's 30-pound difference. It's huge. So we got Gordon, he's already looking strong because you can see this, right? Something that Josh does a lot and really quite well is this shallow underhook. And you can see in his matches, you can see in his matches he gets this shallow underhook, and because he's so strong, he just shucks the person forwards. Also, just before we continue, fuck you cheeky bastards. In the comments of Josh's videos saying that he plows through casuals. 12 years of my life to be considered a hobbyist. You fuckers. Cheeky fucking bastards. The lot of you. He's very good at this wrestling. He's got a wide base because of his rugby, and he's got very strong legs because of his rugby. And in the pre-fight interview, he was talking about wanting to not go and try and neutralize Gordon's game and just do his own, and here he just went straight for it. Gordon, for his part, you can see he's already bracing and squatting a bit lower to try and neutralize this hook quite nicely. And so you can see that Josh started to shuck forwards, and then Gordon straight away sees the opportunity to pull the guard, and he does. So you can see just straight away the foot goes in on the hook as he's corkscrewing down and in. And this completely neutralizes the hook and actually uses it against Josh because he's going off balance up and over the top. So now Josh has to readjust, tries to hop out of it, and just manages to, but Gordon does this really beautiful thing where he's caught onto the other leg. So you can see how he catches onto this one, and then as Josh hops, his right hand goes to the left leg. And you can see how it's a bit fuzzy, but you can see how he's already reaching because he knows he's most likely going to lose this, but he still wants to stay connected. So he gets the other hook, and he starts coming up straight away because Josh was off balance backwards, taking the ankle out of the way, and now he's threatening wrestle ups. So Josh managed to pummel back in. Gordon gets this position where he's technically not good positioning right now. Because he's so elongated backwards, but he's forcing Josh to go backwards as well, because if Josh's bum comes taller, Gordon's going to invert underneath or start attacking the leg like we're going to see in a second. You can see this butterfly hook is hooked on the shin, so this is Josh's leg here, this is Gordon's leg there, and the toes are underneath. And so you can see that already Gordon's starting to make progress, and he was heaving, and Josh was like trying to go backwards and being a bit too tense, a little bit too tense, because obviously you have to be. And so Gordon pulls him forwards and manages to get underneath, and starts shuffling backwards, and then starting to work from here. And so you can see how Gordon managed to get in underneath, lift Josh up, and Josh can see is the position. Now we're in a single leg X type position. And so Gordon's just controlling, Josh is working. I would suggest that he's kind of not it's a difficult position to play. It's a difficult position to play, but I don't know what this is. I don't know what the purpose of that actually is. And Josh is allowing this knee to get turned to the inside, and he's allowing himself to get lifted, and his weight's going through his hand. I don't know what the goal is with that right hand at all. I don't think that he should be controlling there. And you can see how now his body positioning is elongated side on, and he's just trying to keep in the fight, not get swept by having his hands on the floor, doing nothing to defend the legs. And I think he just gets away with this because he's so big and so strong in Oceania, that he's not really feeling in danger here, even though he should be. The objective should really be, then we see Marangali do this, with this right hand, instead of fucking around with this, it should be on the inside of his thigh, hunting to the ribs, so he can use his elbow to flare the knee to the outside, so that when Gordon tries to pull the heel and rotate him to the right, or Gordon's right, and force what that position we saw before was, it's very difficult to do. It's also very difficult to start bringing the other foot up and over the top, and I suppose the idea is that Josh wants to control the ankle so that can't start to reap, but I think that like a direct attack on it is not as good as a roundabout defense in this situation, because the roundabout defense allows you to get connected to the shoulders, and start heel kicking this heel back around the corner. And then what that does is it turns your whole body into the other person, puts pressure through this top leg to start smashing it down. Both knees start going sideways, and then you get hip wrap with the other hand. And from here, like you can see that Gordon's in like an X guard, and so it's a difficult position to play, and Josh kind of put him into the X guard by trying to defend the way he did. And so a little bit of a weird, like not technically correct the way that we're classically taught X guard. This foot shouldn't be underneath the other, but you can see how it's one of those ones where like don't do this when your coach says don't do this means don't do this until you understand when you can. And keeping the foot underneath the other is a really cool way of keeping the single leg X threat present while not having to do excess movements with the top foot. And so the single leg X threat is still present. You can see how Josh pushes the foot back down and Gordon just goes straight back to the single leg. And then, Gordon's facing the outside and Josh is, look at his posture and his weight, it's all the way away, and the heel's getting exposed and all the rest of it. And now Josh is relegated to trying to control this foot to stop it from coming over the top like he's been doing. And because he didn't hide his heel like he should have, he's already on the defensive. So the best thing that he can hope for is just to start spinning out and like pulling outwards. It's the best thing he's got. Gordon, that's so sexy though. So Gordon manages to go wider with the leg, and you see how there's this disconnect now, and because Josh is only on the knee, he can now come up and over the top for that weave. And then, it's forcing that roll out like we saw. And Gordon is doing a really good job of following into the saddle. This elbow chomp on the toes is a very good way to prevent the other person from being able to shrimp out as easily. And so Josh is doing a good job of defending. You can see he's quite calm. When I've been watching some of his videos, and it doesn't matter if you like his personality or not. It's confident, And in going into this, he was saying that he doesn't care that he's only got 4 years experience total when Gordon's got 8 years at black belt. You can see that he's just doing his thing, which is the right attitude to have. And when Josh has another 6 years, 5 or 10 years on his belt, he'll be really, really good, And so Josh is pushing and slowly defending. Gordon's like wearing him out and still got the threats present. And you can see that that's such a gorgeous way to recoup the loss that Gordon was facing here. So let's see if we can break this down. Gordon's losing this position right now because the knee, Josh's knee, is past the knee line. So Gordon, instead of trying to fight it and pummel his legs back to the inside because Josh has got like his shin in the way, holding on to the ankle, he's bigger and stronger by a wide margin. Look at the fucking size difference, dude. Look at where Gordon's shoulders are from here to here. Look at fucking Josh's shoulders. Holy shit, dude. He's fucking massive. He's fucking massive, isn't he? You're not going to win. You're not going to win against someone that size in terms of strength. So what you have to do is out-finesse them. So Gordon hunches forwards and scoops in with the other leg, which opens up the opportunity because Josh is going to try and get up, obviously. But because Gordon maintains this control, he can pull the heel forwards, and that makes it very difficult for Josh to get up, especially when Gordon inserts this knee. And now that's a very tough position for Josh to start escaping. And my suggestion here would be that Josh should be shrimping backwards. You know, he should be doing everything in his power to go backwards rather than forwards, because he's not going to win this. So draw this knee out, and like drop the top hip heavy in and use your strength in this hand to push Gordon away, is what I would be suggesting. But he gets sat down because he's still trying to come up and in rather than conceding when it's lost and trying to go away. And so Gordon gets onto this like leg entanglement position where he's starting to go back into the saddle. And you can see that top leg weaved in. He used the bottom foot to push Josh's leg out the way, and now all of a sudden he's attacking the game over position again, you know. And Josh is doing everything he can to just push and jam himself away. And it's a difficult position now because this is very close to a loss, and Gordon's doing everything he can not to let what just happened happen, which is have the knee go past the thigh line, and he wants that heel to be all the way over to be exposed. And so we get to this position where Gordon lets go of it again, but he starts to come up, and Josh, for some reason, doesn't try wrestling. So he was talking about not trying to do his own game against Gordon instead of neutralizing Gordon's game, but he does fucking nothing here to try and wrestle back up to his feet, and he ends up playing exactly what Gordon wants him to do and trying to neutralize Gordon's game. And so you can see this thing where Gordon's, like we talk about it all the time, he's controlling that priority knee, using the strength of his legs to push himself in, collapsing the top leg. He's hugging the shoulders and the hips as needed. And he's starting to pummel his chest oriented towards Josh's chest, trying to encourage Josh onto his back. Very difficult position to play. And the positioning that Gordon has here, you see how he lifted his knee to the inside. It helps him to prevent deep half, because the classical temptation should be to try and get an underhook with your top hand, dive under the leg, and pull them towards you as you roll to the other side of your back, hunting with the top hand to get underneath the leg. And then you can roll back the other way, sprawl your legs out, and then pummel up and on top with double unders, right? Gordon is not really risking this because the top knee is jammed into Josh's body, and so it's very hard to get in underneath the other person when your knee's in the way. It's a knee shield, not a knee sword. So you use it for defense, not for the attack. And so he's so smothering and heavy, and you can see how wide his feet are and how wide his knees are, and how wide his hands are, and he's just controlling and being heavy. And then he'll bring this knee into the hip to prevent it when he's ready to settle down on Josh, you know, and you can see it come in now. And now that shuts everything down. This is an awkward angle for Josh. If he's not careful, there's guillotine attempts. Like Gordon can swing this hand back around his neck and guillotine. He can get in front of the face for crossface. It's a dominating position, and Josh is kind of allowing it, by not really fighting it when he should. But I understand, because like There's obviously no one on the planet as good as Gordon, and there's definitely no one of the caliber of the world level competition in Australia that is born in Australia. You know, we've got a couple of black belts that are world champions, but they're all Brazilian. They've moved over, and so like, it's difficult to find the experience necessary in competition if you're Josh to know what to do in these situations, because not even the people in his training room would do it, you know. And so we get to this position where he's holding Gordon at bay, and he's got this hand kind of doing nothing with it because Gordon's keeping it connected to his own thigh. And you can see how Gordon's hugging onto the shoulders. And now, unlike the Nicky Rod situation, because Gordon's so far around the top and angled into Josh, he can grab the shoulders because he wants to start crowding Josh's style and keeping him in. And so this is a difficult position to play because now Josh is relegated to keeping his hands forwards, and therefore keeping his head forwards. And if he starts going backwards with his head, he'll allow Gordon to step in and then follow with the hand, so he'll control the bottom knee. So it's a very difficult position for Josh to play, and he's kind of, I don't know what the idea of letting go and just resting there was, but he's burning his own energy. He should be realistically trying to move his shoulders away, even though this will cause a scramble, because moving this bottom shoulder away will force this top shoulder forwards, which will take the inside space away as well, which makes it harder for Gordon to get down and on it. What this allows is it opens up space on the other side for underhooks, and then the knee shield can go in as like a butterfly hook, which is a better bet because you don't want to be just defending. The knee shield will keep the other person away, but there's not really that many sweeps from there that are that easy. So instead, if you have a butterfly hook, you'll be able to start attacking sweeps, and at least, yes, it brings on a scramble, but at least you'll actually be doing something rather than just dying slowly. And if you can't make anything happen when you're in a scramble, or when you're in like actually moving through the positions, then you know, like, well, that's just the way of it on the day, isn't it? This is why we train. But you still should be trying to make something happen rather than defending and dying. And so we can see Gordon's just doing his classical thing of absolutely cooking Josh. And I'm pretty sure that this would be a very unfamiliar and unpleasant experience for Josh, because he's the biggest person in his training room. He's openly on steroids. He's very, very strong, and he can lift pretty well everyone. And there won't be anyone nearly as good at pressure technique as Gordon in his gym, obviously. And so like, he would just be probably panicking a little bit, you know, with like, well, what do I do? How do I frame? And again, it just comes back to, not that he's bad at jiu-jitsu, but he just hasn't had the experience at dealing with someone like Gordon, you know, so it's hard to know what to do. And for Gordon, who has big uns like Josh all the time, it's just another day in the office. For Josh, it's a puzzle to figure out, which already puts him on the back foot, you know. So Gordon does this really good job of staying heavy and just forcing the knee through, and he's just relaxing. You can see how in his body language, he's ready to keep driving in. Beautiful pass, but he's staying relaxed all the time. So whenever Josh moves, he's falling into this big trap of like pushing and then relaxing, then pushing, then relaxing, rather than framing and moving himself to allow space for his own legs and things to come into the fight. So you see how he's not really framing with his hands. He just does a big push and then relaxes, and then tries to do a big push again and relaxes. And Gordon does this really awesome thing in this guard because he's so elongated and heavy. He's threatening mount now. Josh pushes him back. He gets the underhook, Gordon does. And then watch what he does with that right leg. He just flops it out the top. Yep, because Josh wasn't hooking his legs. So Gordon has this underhook on the far side. Josh is trying to push him back. In Oceania, he gets away with like a lot of movements that should be compound movements. But for example, like bicep curls your head in, and it works because he's so strong, whereas he should be using his whole back to do it. And he's kind of doing the same thing here, where he's trying to do not compound movements to accomplish a compound movement result. And so he's getting punished for kind of cheating away, you know. His technique is on display at the moment. And this is just, it's a fair enough thing to say. You know, he's very good. He'd beat me, basically, because he is quite good. But it doesn't change the fact that he has cheated his technique a little bit by being so strong and so aggressive. And so, like, it's getting punished here, you know. And Gordon steps out of that guard into the side control and just smothers. And you can see how Josh is still not panicking. He's just a little bit frustrated with himself. I don't know what the plan is with this. He should be doing something with the hand, but he's not. And you can see how he just straight up single arm bench press Gordon off the top. The fuck is that, dude? Look, just one hand bench presses. He's not even got the other hand in the way, and he moves 220 pound. And Gordon stays latched on and attached, and obviously it doesn't fucking work because that's terrible technique. But, like, what are you doing? The fuck are you doing? He pushes him off the top, and like, what? What did that accomplish? It didn't accomplish anything. It just wasted your own energy. You didn't even get on your side. You're flat on your back. Josh should be using this hand to counter crossface so he can get on his side, so he can start wedging the knees in, so he can start using both hands to push at least, using ab crunches to pull the knees in, not just one hand bench pressing 220 fucking pounds, you know, fuck me. And because he tries to get an underhook, Gordon's so heavy and attached, Gordon manages to get an underhook on the near side. And Gordon doesn't give a fuck if he goes back into a half guard. He doesn't care. He just wants the double under so he can get to mount. And you can see how strong Gordon's even like trying to go back to half guard. And so Josh is trying to feed in, hunt in. Gordon's preventing it with the hand. And now he's like a bit indecisive, and Gordon just starts pummeling straight through to mount. Beautiful use as well of this hook doing the work of an underhook. Because now you can see how he kept the toes in, because now this space is starting to clear, so Gordon can start pummeling straight through to mount. And Josh manages to pull the hand back in and start using it to defend. But in doing a pull motion on Gordon's knee, he ends up pulling his hips around the side, which exposes the arm for a Kimura or far side armbar, that sort of thing. And Gordon's staying so heavy, driving the knee back to the floor, cooking Josh the whole time. You know. And so it's a little bit hard, and Josh is doing this thing where he, like, using his knees to push Gordon off the top, manages to get the arm free. And so Gordon stays heavy, introduces him to his favorite tea brand Lipton, you know, dunk them tea bags, and then starts going back to side control. And so we get to this position where Gordon's just absolutely dominating this position, because frankly Josh is not very good at like fundamental framing, you know. And again, it's about right for only 4 years. Like, don't get me wrong, his technique is good for 4 years, but you can't get to an elite level of technique and understanding in only 4 years, and it very much shows in this particular sport. You can definitely get to the elite level in Australia that Australia has to offer in 4 years, but the elite level in Australia is fucking tragically bad compared to guys like this. Like, look at me, I'm technically at an elite level in Australia, and I'm fucking abysmal. And so Gordon's doing a really good job getting this wrap, forcing the crossface, getting Josh flat again. It's just business as usual. He's just staying relaxed and composed. He looks a little bit unwell, though, to be honest with you. He looks a bit pale. And some comments were suggesting that he's a bit more pudgy, and so he might not be on as big a stack as all that. But allegedly he were dry retching before the match. And he does look really pale, so he looks like he's not feeling it at all. And he's still managing to dominate the match, you know. It's just very telling about the understanding difference, the experience difference, isn't it? So Josh is doing this good job of trying to push Gordon down, but again, he's trying to do the kipping escape where he pushes, crunches, brings the knees back in, rather than focusing on underhooks, getting on the side and moving himself like out the way. I've never been a fan of the kipping escape, even though Gordon Ryan does it, is because you need like techniques that rely on strength are not good techniques. Techniques rely on finesse and precision and moving you are good techniques because you can control how you can move. You can't necessarily always lift the other person, but you should theoretically, more often than not, be able to move yourself out from under the other person. So Josh is pushing, and it just straight up fucking single arm bench presses Gordon off the top again. Watch, like a little bit of a right hand push as well. It just doesn't ab crunch and bench presses Gordon off the top, and Gordon straight away pummels back in. Josh used a lot of juice. Gordon's not letting him get away with it. Straight away back into pressuring. And so the best bet for Josh here would actually be try and scramble back up to the feet. He tries to go for like this really cool inversion and like give him props for that, but Gordon shuts it down by going backwards and down and heavy. You can see how actually Gordon as well is using his top hand to help pressure the knee in. And that's very difficult. And Gordon's just relentless here. It's kind of like, how fucking dare you use poor technique. I'm going to punish you for this now, son. And you can see we're back into that position that Gordon loves to cook the opponent in. He's cramping him, pulling him in, all the while focusing on turning this knee into the hips so that he can get the other person flat, get the crossface, get the underhooks, take him out, and win. And you can see that the idea is that because the guard's broken, Gordon's just going to push it out of the way. Very difficult. Again, I think that the idea for Josh here should be, because he's so strong, frame on the hips, take the knee out the way, put the foot in a butterfly hook, and then start moving your head around the corner. But it's easier said than done in this type of position because Gordon's got such amazing pull power, such amazing like push with his legs to drive himself over the top. Very difficult position to play, and you can see how Josh is trying to push, but he's just not managing it. Excuse me. So finally Josh starts to get an underhook, but then for some fucking reason puts his knee back in the middle. And instead of I don't understand this, where you see his knee positioning here, he gets the underhook and then pulls the knee back in. Instead of, taking the knee out the way so he gives himself space to come up and in, and like putting the foot flat on the floor so he can start wrestling up, because he would win a physical battle. He can afford to burn the juice because he's big and fucking strong and juicy to the gills. He can afford to burn the juice, but he just crowds his own space and allows Gordon back into the fight just by putting the knee in. And now Gordon goes backwards, shuts down the underhook, and nothing comes of it. This is a useless underhook because of the knee shield now. And you see the knee shield starting to pummel down. Josh takes it out the way a little bit. Gordon's controlling the hand that will control the priority knee. He manages to get Josh flat again. And all of it came to nothing because Josh decided to leave the knee in. And so, look at him sweating now. It's very difficult, and he's definitely burning much more juice and he fucking bench presses again. Fuck me, dude. Fuck me. What is that? Fucking hell. Gordon had a full fucking wrap driving in. Heavy, 240 pound, 220 pound or whatever, pulling himself down. And Josh does an ab crunch bench press and just fucking lifts him off the top. Gets his knees back in, and like that type of shit works in Oceanic when we're all fucking tragic. That type of shit doesn't work against people that are actually good, and this is why you shouldn't do it. You literally never see Gordon do this in his guard ever. It's always butterfly hooks. It's always lifting with the legs. It's always underhooks to wrestle up. It's always catching onto the heel to insert the hooks in underneath the thighs. It's never a kipping escape. You never see the top guys do kipping escapes unless they're desperate. It shouldn't be a go-to, and Josh just gets away with kind of bullying people because he's so fucking big. And it is very telling because obviously it doesn't fucking work against people that are experienced. And now Gordon gets this wrist wrap, and like goes heavy, puts Josh flat, and Josh's arms are all cramped. He has nothing to fucking do. He's not doing anything with his left hand here to get under with the underhook. He's just getting flattened out. He burnt so much gas, you can see on his face now. He's starting to feel it. Still trying to push. Manages to get Gordon away again, and is not inserting that butterfly hook or trying to put this foot back on the hip to push Gordon away and wrestle up. You know, you don't want to be here. You don't want to be in this position. You need to be trying to free this leg onto the hip so you can push the other person away with like a leg press, which is way better than flaring your knee or using your arms. You need to be moving your head around the corner. You need to be wrestling up, which is why Gordon's trying to pull everything in as much as he can. But it's just, you don't want to stay here, you know. You don't want to stay here, and he's just staying here. That was such a beautiful weave by Gordon. So when we're here, Gordon sprawls out because he notices the weakness in the guard. Josh, for his part, should be using this hand not on the elbow, but on the shoulder to really push Gordon away and move his head around the corner. Because Gordon's going to pass this guard now, regardless. Josh's best bet is to enter into a scramble and move the goal, which is the chest, further away. So Gordon has to travel further so that Josh has more room to put his feet back in. Gordon, however, drops the hip down, weaves this one over the top. Such a gorgeous movement. Controls that bottom knee, weaves, and then starts looking to pass. Josh manages to shrimp out just, gets it back. Gordon starts looking for the same hip drop, same roll motion. Look at him. Look at him go. Fucking, how do you manage to get from this position on your side and just do a fucking rolling bench press of 110 kilos? Fucking hell. You know, that's huge amount of effort to lift Gordon that much. Huge amount of effort, and it didn't matter because Gordon just comes back the other side and does like a little hip switch anyway. You know, like his leg just pops off the top. I love what he did though. I love what he did here. So we got this leg weave, and Gordon's pummeling in. Josh feels him go off balance to the other side, which he is a little bit. Gordon is. He's just ever so slightly off balance. You can see it. So here, this motion forwards that we just saw. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Yeah, boy. Right. There, you can see. So Gordon's quite settled right now. Sweat's quite settled right now. He goes too far forwards. Right there. He is now off balance. Forwards. Josh feels this, and capitalizes, you know, and pushes him. But Gordon recovers quite nicely, steps back out of it, hugs the head, pulls himself in, fights the frames, pushes the bottom knee out the way, starts looking to pass again. And so Gordon doesn't look very healthy at the moment. And Josh has to be careful because there's exposure of the legs, there's exposure of the chest. So it just depends on what Gordon wants to do. And you can see how Gordon's not risking anything. This is the perfect example of decision making that I talk about a lot, especially with my students and in the Discord. If you're wanting to join that, is that he could try and make progress down to the chest, but he's just fighting the frames. And he's like, Josh is forced to keep pushing, otherwise Gordon will collapse. And if he doesn't keep pushing, Gordon will collapse. But if he does keep pushing, he's going to get more tired. So it's perfect cooking, perfect decision making. And you can see how, like, Gordon's starting to drop the knee down on the neck. Josh has to respect it. Gordon just walks around very casually and starts looking to control, and gets on top of the north-south. Latches onto the near side leg because Josh pushes him down the body and goes, all right, well, I'll just go for the leg then. Sits the heel in, controls the legs. He's in the 411, the saddle position now, and Josh has to be very, very careful because if he rolls back the other way, Gordon's just going to sit down. And so the idea should be use this hand to push the knee down the thigh straight away so that when you start to shrimp and turn to the other side, the knee has more chance to come free. But Gordon manages to control that far side leg, and now this is going to be pretty well over, I think. So Gordon sits down. He really doesn't look healthy. Fucking hell. He looks way more tired than he usually does in these matches. So Josh starts to latch onto the other leg to try and do something, but he should be. It's such a hard position to escape when you have this hand, this leg. Sorry, the hands on the leg. It's such a hard position to escape, and your best bet is either a counter attack or really just fucking spazzing out and trying to push the knees down and wrench your knee out. But it ain't gonna happen. It's such a dominating position. Just isn't gonna happen. So you can see how Josh has the right idea. He just about manages to get the leg. He manages to get the leg free. Just about manages to be in time for pushing the knee down. But this time Gordon manages to expose the heel, sits on it heavy, gets the heel hook. Josh tries again, but it's done. It's done. Gordon's got this really nice wrap on that leg. Very heavy, strong wrap. This time you see the knee is nowhere near clearing the thighs. Gordon comes up onto his shoulder, which he does. He did this against Cyborg. Exposes that heel by using his shoulders to roll back around the corner. Gets the heel. Connects to it. You can see as well. He's still side eyeing Josh. He's like, "Are you sure?" Because that's pulling quite tight. And then you can see the relief on his face. He looks fucking tired, And so, all up, very dominating performance by Gordon. And he doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look healthy. Frankly, a little bit of a disappointing performance by Josh, because it's very clear that he just gets away with a lot of strength-based jiu-jitsu. And again, like I say this all the time, is that there's multiple things that make a good grappler. Josh's ability to win grappling matches is astronomical because of his physicality, and jiu-jitsu is inherently physical. But that doesn't change the fact that against someone as good as Gordon, it's not going to work. And so it's clear that he just needs a lot of work on his fundamentals and technical positioning and technique, more so than his physicality. His wrestling's really good, but he didn't get a chance to showcase it, so Gordon kind of neutralized his entire game and then just raped him. And that's how it goes. But again, Gordon's been competing for 8 years at black belt. Josh has been training for 4 years, and so what do you want? Very, very good work by Josh stepping up on 15 days notice. Very good work by Gordon, despite dry retching before the match and looking real queasy now. He doesn't look as big as he did. He's probably on less stack. Very good work coming back into it, even when you're not feeling it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that match. I got to run. If you'd like to join the Discord, the link's down below. If not, all good, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.